What is going on, guys? It's James here, or ThnxCya, and I want to try something a little bit different today because I want to get personal. And yeah, this is something that I don't do that often, but I can have a dark side if you want me to. And no one's going to get that reference, and I'm just going to sound like a complete idiot. But yeah, anyway, I want to talk about growing up. And kind of life in general, I suppose futures you could say. And it's going to be my own personal experiences over the past 4 years, and it's not going to be as simple as kind of what your parents might say, which is, oh, you're only young once, you should live, etc, etc. It's not going to be like that, because truth be told, a lot has changed over the past 4 years for me, and I'd really like to share my experiences with you. But as is always the way with most stuff, for me anyway, inspiration to make commentaries really comes from the strangest places, the strangest situations. So this particular situation happened probably around a week ago, where I went to a gig in Manchester, and I went with one of my friends from school. I grew up with him, but he's currently in Edinburgh finishing his course, so he came down from the day and we went up to Manchester. Because we were there and we had a few hours to kill before the gig started, we met up with a couple more friends who we did grow up with and we went to school with, and we do see them quite a lot in holidays and stuff. But yeah, we just went for some drinks, nothing too special, although we did go to like the weirdest pub I've ever been to in my entire life. But yeah, nothing really happened there. I mean, it was all fine and dandy, but it wasn't until the next day where it got me thinking, because I don't know if you remember back to last week, but there was one day, especially in the UK, where it was really, really nice weather. I mean, it was hot. It was like t-shirt weather, I suppose you could call it. So I woke up and I decided, you know what, I'm going to make the most of today. I'm going to get out and do something because it's a lovely day, and I don't know how many of these are going to happen in March. So yeah, I got out, got in my car, put my golf clubs in the back, and I headed on over to the driving range. And I kind of had my music on, I had my window down, obviously not too loud because I'm not one of those noisy, chavvy drivers that you see, but yeah, incidentally, the song I was listening to and the song that kind of started this whole thought process is a song called Simple Math by Manchester Orchestra, and I urge you to go and listen to it. It is the most beautiful song I've heard, and it has the most amazing video to it as well. So yeah, I'm going to link that underneath, so if you would like to go and listen to it after the commentary, then I don't think you'll regret it. It's an absolutely amazing song. But yeah, it was the combination of the song and the weather and the situation and the smell. And that might sound weird, but I actually, a couple of days earlier, put in a new black cherry air freshener into my car. It's actually one of the Yankee Candle ones. And I know it might sound disgusting, but it's kind of a nice smell. But yeah, it put me in exactly the same position that I was in last summer, which was beautiful weather, hot t-shirt weather, the same song, the same smell, the same situation of going somewhere. But it then struck me straight away that, I'm on my own here. I'm not going to see my friends because there are none of them around. I'm going on my own somewhere else, and that kind of, it got me really sad. And I know that sounds really weird, but it got me, thinking about growing up and how things have changed over the past 4 years. I mean, it's kind of the situation, especially last summer, where I really think that we made the most of it in terms of our friendship group. And although not everyone was back over the summer, I think the majority of the people I'm close to were, and I like to think that we did make the most of it. I mean, we saw each other like 4 or more times a week, every week, and we just did fun stuff, going to town or going to each other's houses, playing some Call of Duty, going to play some golf, sitting around in beer gardens, etc. And it was a great time. And I guess it's until you've had that taken away from you that you really start missing that situation, I suppose. And it's also the kind of situation about moving away from home, going to uni and that kind of thing, that unfortunately I was in the situation where I didn't go to university that any of my school friends also were going to, just because different courses weren't offered at those places, so I couldn't really go with anyone that I knew. And if I'm honest, I would have loved to have had that situation, just to be able to go and talk to someone and meet up with someone that I'd had previous history with, because don't get me wrong, you do make lots of new friends at university, and it is a great time, but I genuinely believe that you will never have friends quite like the ones you grew up with, especially this early on in life. So we obviously do see each other a lot in holidays and summer holidays and Easter and Christmas. But truth be told, if I am realistic, and this is a very sad thought for me, because I do think that the summer coming up will be the last big summer that we all have together in one place. Because as is the way with life and university and master's courses and whatever, you get to a point where you do have to start working. And it is at the point now where a lot of my friends have finished their courses / getting offers for jobs. And that kind of sucks, really, to be honest with you. It's a scary thought that the whole situation of having summer and Christmas holidays really gets taken away, and it kind of now works on the fact if you have a day off, you might go and see each other, etc. But yeah, it got me thinking about how people develop in life and how people grow up, because I do think that people grow up at different rates, and people do grow up in a lot of different circumstances. For example, on the positive side, some people I know are currently in different countries like China and America and Australia, getting on with work placements and studying, and getting on with these really cool situations, and that's absolutely fantastic. Other people are currently working in jobs, some which are part-time, some which are 9 to 5, some getting offers for big corporations involving life-affirming money that you can get really stable and start to build a future from. But there's always the negative side to that. I mean, I know people who, and I'm not saying that getting married and having kids is a negative thing, but I do think that at the age of 20 and 21, it's a little bit premature, and you kind of have to ask how much of a life you have lived up until that point to settle down so quickly. But yeah, also on the more negative side to that, unfortunately, some people that I did know and grow up with kind of got involved in drugs around about 14 and 15, and unfortunately some of which are still living in that shadow today. And I think that does really alter the opportunities that you get, and kind of it changes your lifestyle and the situations that you have, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I suppose as a friend, I always want what's best for my other friends. I'm not really a kind of a person that really holds grudges against people, but I do think that human nature, every single person has one slightly selfish brain cell. And what I mean by that is, in this whole situation, there is a part of me that just does not want things to change. Quite simply, I do not want the situations that I love, and the situations that I want to be in get taken away from me. I don't want that personally. But unfortunately, that is the way in life, and that does happen, and you do really have to live in the now and make the most of what you have, because truth be told, you don't know what you have until it's gone, to be honest. And to not sound too negative, if there's one kind of lesson that I suppose I want to make in this entire commentary, it is that you really should not be in a hurry to grow up, because I do think some people do try and grow up too quickly. And you do miss out on a lot in life that way, but at the same time you have to realize when you do have to grow up, and you do have to realize that there is a time when you have to start thinking about your future, you have to start thinking about a job, and you have to start thinking about how you're going to live your life, because take me for example. I'm currently 21, and my whole plan really revolves on going back to university again to start a new fresh course for 3 more years, because I believe that this is the most positive thing for me and my music, in terms of getting some kind of profession that I will love. I mean, I don't want to sit behind a desk for 12 hours a day. I want to be creative, and I want to do something, and being in a creative atmosphere and environment with other creative people is the best way that I can do that. So that all depends on if I get in this year, so fingers crossed on that one. But yeah, it's kind of like at the point now where I have developed a lot since I was at school. If you read every single one of my school reports, they all say exactly the same thing, which is James is a clever guy, but he needs to participate more in class. And obviously you guys know that I'm a fairly laid-back person, but in school I was very, very shy, and to some extent I still am shy. I don't really put myself out there too much, but in terms of school, I never ever answered questions, I never put my hand up, I never tried to get involved with group kind of activities where you had to stand and talk. So me personally, I believe that my development over the past few years is definitely confidence, because it seems ironic that I now have a YouTube channel, and I found my voice, I suppose you could say, and that's great for me because it gives me an outlet to talk, and it kind of makes up for lost time when I wasn't sharing my opinions, but secretly wish that I could have shared them more. But yeah, it comes to the point now where I have to think about my future, and what I want to do, because although I have had a year out and I've started this YouTube and I am a partnered channel, realistically I don't think I'm going to make anywhere near a minimum wage off YouTube. I mean, you never know how things go, but at the same time you have to be realistic and you have to think about it, because obviously I can't talk about money, machinima money and all that, but what I will say is that if you are not making if you're not getting hundreds and thousands of views every single day, you are not going to be getting a minimum wage, and you will not be able to buy food and buy electricity, you know, and pay for this, that, and the other. So you have to start thinking about what you're going to do. So that's kind of the situation that I am in now, where you know, things are getting slightly more serious, and I do have to start thinking that, you know, maybe it is time to kind of start getting over these memories that I have and start moving on to the future. But I always know that no matter how many days, months, weeks or years that I have not seen my friends, as soon as I meet them again, it will be like nothing has ever changed, which is the best thought that you can ever have. So yeah, thank you for listening. I really appreciate if you watched this all the way to the end. It's been a pleasure as always, guys. Thanks, and see ya.